Right, welcome everyone to our latest EBS webinar. My name is Simon G. I'm one of the business development managers at EBS. Today we are joined by one of our key partners, Stephen Dykes from Cybersmart. But just before we bring Stephen in, for those that are not aware, so EBS celebrate our 44 years in business in October. And we continue to focus on being your experienced technology partner, and hopefully elements such as this will enhance that really. Just as a bit of housekeeping, this webinar will be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube channel. So if I can ask you to remain on mute and videos off. If you have any questions, please pop them in the chat and we'll come back to those towards the end of the session. And really, without any further ado, let's hand over to Stephen to discuss fortifying your business, safeguarding against cyber attacks with Cyber Essentials.
Thanks, Simon, and thanks everyone for giving me your time today and allowing me to introduce Cyber Essentials and Cybersmart as a way of protecting your business against cyber threats. If I can just share my presentation. So as Simon mentioned, we're a partner with EBS and support EBS in terms of providing Cyber Essentials solutions. And the idea behind Cyber Essentials is don't get scammed, get secured. As I guess a brief introduction to the problem, we all understand that cyber security is a big issue for businesses these days. And we're going to introduce the solution, which is Cyber Essentials, and obviously how EBS and Cybersmart can help small businesses secure their businesses. So to give you an example or an illustration of how big the problem is, a quote by Steve Morgan, the editor-in-chief of Cybercrime Magazine: if it was measured as a country, cybercrime would be the third largest economy after the US and China. With damages totaling $6 trillion a year globally, and that was in 2021. It's likely that number has now been surpassed as more and more cyber attacks are sort of prevalent and becoming prevalent, should I say. So it's a massive problem globally and a massive problem for businesses throughout the UK. And there's no way of hiding it. If you only have to look on the news to see all the stories of the hacks and the breaches. This is just a sample of news stories that I've found on the BBC over the last couple of months. So there's a lot of breaches, a lot of problems, and a lot of cyber attacks happening. So it is a very big problem, and it's targeting all businesses throughout the day. The FSB themselves conducted a report in 2019, where they identified that 10,000 attacks per day are small businesses, targeting small businesses. And the annual cost of that in the UK alone is £4.5 billion. The average cost of a breach to a small business, to an FSB member, was £1,300. That was back in 2019. And victims are most frequently subject to phishing attempts. I believe the statistic is 95% of cyber attacks and cyber breaches are the results of human error. And interestingly, they highlighted the Northwest, Southeast, and the West Midlands as areas to be most likely to suffer cyber attacks. So it's no longer just a big business problem, as a lot of people still believe it is. They believe that it's the big businesses that are being targeted by hackers and cyber criminals, but that's no longer the case, as the FSB have found out. So why is it no longer just big businesses that are suffering cyber attacks? Well, cyber threats and cyber security has been on boardroom agendas for a number of years. During that time, big businesses have been able to allocate budget, bring in the relevant resources and the understanding, and as a result have built up protections that make them a less attractive proposition to hackers. And hackers are now moving their attention to small businesses for a number of reasons, one of which is more often 99% of businesses in the UK are classed as small businesses. They're generally under-supported, with most of the solutions aimed at larger organisations, and as a result, they have less protection. And were they to be breached, they've got more to lose, as they don't have the protection in place and don't have the resources to survive large-scale breaches. And one of the reasons that small businesses are an easier target is, again, the Federation of Small Businesses found that 35% of small businesses have not installed security software over the past 2 years, making them more vulnerable to attacks. 40% of them do not regularly update the software, and we know from previous attacks in the headlines that lots of these attacks come through the back door through vulnerabilities in software where software has not been updated or patched properly. And a similar proportion, 40% of these, do not back up the data or IT systems. So again, making the impact of a breach much more significant and much more difficult to survive. And over 50% of businesses do not have a strict password policy. Again, making it easier, particularly with AI and other technology tools for hackers to guess passwords, gain access to systems, and breach organizations. So small businesses need to take cyber security more seriously, but they also need the support in how to do that. As I said, according to the IBM, 95% of cyber breaches are down to human error. So that's somebody clicking on a link they shouldn't do, but not realizing it, or downloading software they don't realize is malware or in some way a cyber threat. So as we've seen, SMEs are under attack, and I'm not going to go through this in great detail, but we've seen some of these statistics already. 10,000 attacks a day, 38% of micro and small businesses have identified a cyber attack in the last 12 months. And those attacks are becoming more sophisticated and using tools such as social engineering and ransomware. Criminals are also targeting small firms because of the lack of cybersecurity in place and making them easy targets. And the COVID pandemic forced organizations to rapidly deploy technology, but not necessarily deployed in the correct way. And again, has left a lot of gaps in the infrastructure and the security that they've put in place just so that they could survive the pandemic. And risk transfer is becoming less of an option. So a lot of organizations would have relied on cyber insurance, but we're seeing evidence that insurers' cyber risk appetite is hardening. So it's more difficult for people to get insurance and more expensive. So it's no longer the best option for protecting the business. They're also underprotected, and this is a number of reasons. There's a number of reasons for this. One is that, like, the basic understanding of IT security. Most cybersecurity solutions tend to cater for large organizations, and as a result become a little bit too expensive for smaller businesses. And modern tools that are focused on detection and often don't include personal devices. And we all know now that the use of personal devices is increasing. Most people will have even if they've got a work supplied laptop, will probably use their own personal device to access emails and access some of the information. And personal devices are often more difficult to secure for an organization. So as you can see there, the basics are really difficult for SMEs. So lack of security policies, 60% of small businesses don't have them. 50% don't offer staff training. And as we go back to the 95% of breaches being human error, staff training is a crucial part of that. 87% are not insured. Again, going back to what we said about insurance companies hardening their stance against cyber threats. And 40% of SMEs don't regularly update their software. So these are big problems that make it difficult for small business and mean that they're underprotected. And the impact is absolutely catastrophic in many cases. The statistic before of £1,300 was from 2019. In 2022, the average cost for a cyber breach had gone up to £4,200 for small businesses. And if you consider large organisations, medium organisations, that goes up to nearly £20,000. So a massive cost for a cyber breach. And as a result of that, 60% of small companies will close within 6 months of being hacked. That rises to 80% within 12 months. And 93% of companies that lose access to their data for 10 days or more have filed for bankruptcy within 1 year. So it's a significant impact, and it's small businesses that aren't able to ride that storm that are feeling the brunt of that problem. So in summary, SMEs are attacked more often, and they lack the defense and make them easy and lucrative targets for hackers, and ultimately they're under attack and underserved. So is there a solution? And yes, there is, as we highlighted at the beginning. The solution for many businesses starts with Cyber Essentials. And what is Cyber Essentials? So Cyber Essentials is a government-backed scheme that was introduced in 2014. It's designed as a solid foundation in cybersecurity. It's the basics and minimum that businesses should be doing to protect themselves and others within the supply chain. Cyber Essentials is a certification. So there's a process you go through to highlight what you're doing and how you're protecting yourself against cyber insurance. And then once you've reached the standard, you get the certification. And it's designed to help organizations to show their commitment to cybersecurity and to keep it as simple as possible. So businesses without sophisticated IT experience and knowledge within the business can still achieve this. Cyber Essentials looks at 5 main controls. So that's secure configuration, user access control, malware protection, boundary firewalls and internet gateways, and also patch management. And for people like myself who can just about spell IT, that essentially is asking 5 questions. Have you got secure internet connection? Are the most secure settings on your devices switched on? Do you have full control over who's accessing your device and your services? Do you have adequate protection against viruses and malware? And are your devices and software updated to the latest version? And that's Cyber Essentials. That's what it checks. That's what it makes sure that you have in place. And it comes in 2 flavors. So Cyber Essentials itself is a self-assessment supported by EBS, where you answer the questions, where the questions are answered, and you get the Cyber Essentials baseline standard. The best way that I find to describe the difference between Cyber Essentials and Cyber Essentials Plus is that Cyber Essentials is you provide the answers and provide the information, and Cyber Essentials Plus is we mark the homework. So our auditors will assess on Cyber Essentials Plus, will assess the answers and the questionnaire and give you a tick in the box to say, yes, you've passed Cyber Essentials Plus, meaning that it's independently audited. So why would you achieve Cyber Essentials? Well, it will help you prevent around 99% of the most common cyber attacks. It will enable you to work with central government, local authorities, MOD, NHS, etc., who are now stipulating as a minimum Cyber Essentials must be included, and in many cases that's increasing to Cyber Essentials Plus. It shows that you take security seriously throughout your supply chain, and it'll help you attract new business, improve your reputation, and win contracts. Again, because of the supply chain and how you're protecting yourselves and others within that. As I mentioned before, it will allow you to bring your own device users and remote workers into your security framework to ensure that your cyber security and your cyber security compliance is maintained. And you'll also be listed on the searchable NCSC Cyber Essentials database. So again, people can check and ensure that you are doing the basics and you are doing the right thing. And it simplifies the conversation to establish the risk within your supply chain. And just going back to the supply chain and sort of focusing on that, one of the recent attacks that we saw with Capital was that they were targeted by something called the supply chain attack. And what that does is the hackers will find a weak link within the supply chain and hack that weak link, and then wait until they've got an opportunity to go after the bigger organizations. It happened in May 2023. And as a result of that, and Capita being hacked through one of their supply chain partners, they're now subject to numerous class action lawsuits, which some estimates total that to be around £20 million if obviously that doesn't go in their favour. So this highlights the need to question cyber threat posture within your supply chain. But this poses problems with businesses that don't necessarily understand IT as well as others. If you were to question your supply chain and ask to understand what they were doing in terms of their cybersecurity, and were to ask the question, what are you doing to manage your cybersecurity within your organization? The answer you get back is likely to be complicated. And unless you're an IT expert or an IT professional, it's probably not going to mean a great deal to you. You're not going to know whether or not it's the right thing to be doing, whether it's the best thing to be doing. You can't easily verify what they've said is correct. So they may not be necessarily saying what they need to say, and have limited tangible value. Once the information comes back to that question, it doesn't necessarily mean that you understand that they're doing the right thing. Where Cyber Essentials comes in is all you have to do is ask, are you Cyber Essentials certified? And a simple yes or no question will tell you that they are doing the basics. Obviously, if they've said yes to that question, you know they're doing the basics right. They're protected from around 99% of common cyber threats, and they're also taking steps to protect their supply chain and to protect you. And more importantly, you can verify that against the NCSC database. So again, you know very quickly and very easily that they're doing the basics and they're doing the right thing to protect you and the supply chain. So it simplifies that process. So how can EBS and Cybersmart help? Cybersmart are on a mission to protect and empower small and medium-sized enterprises. That's the quote from our CEO. That's our mission. That's what we're trying to do. Is we're there to help small and medium-sized enterprises with their cybersecurity and to ensure that they have the tools and the resources to do that correctly. We were born out of the GCHQ Accelerator in 2017, and we're the leading certification body for Cyber Essentials and Cyber Essentials Plus within the UK, meaning that we've issued more certifications than anybody else, and we've conducted more audits than anybody else within the UK. We offer a simple step-by-step journey to securing your business through the government-backed certification and also continual compliance monitoring as well. We're built for SMEs. So there's no in-house expertise required, and obviously we work through partnership with EBS to deliver Cyber Essentials. We have, as you can imagine, a whole number of accolades and awards to verify and to support what we do. And I think interestingly, this year I believe we've got 7 award nominations, and so far this year we've won 3 of them. So we're doing the right things. We're producing products and solutions that deliver. And are being recognised by industries and different sectors. We have, and this is probably an old slide now, but over 4,700 customers, and we've protected 45,000 devices. And we're very fortunate to be backed by some of the largest investment houses, and work with lots of with the main organisations such as GCHQ. The Department of Science, Innovation and Technology, and obviously the National Crime Security Centre. But we do things slightly different. It's not just about Cyber Essentials. The way I look at it is if you think about the MOT on your car, it's a point-in-time assessment where the mechanic says, yes, your car's roadworthy, and gives you a piece of paper that lasts for 12 months. But we know a lot can happen. Driving down the road 6 months later and go through a pothole, all of a sudden your car's no longer roadworthy, but you've got a piece of paper that says it is. And Cyber Essentials is exactly the same. It's a point-in-time assessment that says you're doing the right things and you're secure today. But the world of IT changes, the world of cybersecurity changes, and that 12 months is a long time, and lots of things can change. So Cyber Assurance as a Service is the way Cybersmart gives you the tools to not only assess your security posture today, but also maintain and monitor and manage that throughout the next 12 months. These tools include Active Protect, which is our device scanning application, our Cybersmart dashboard, which gives you access to all of the information and a holistic approach to where you are in terms of your compliance and your security posture. You get the Cyber Essentials certification as part of the Cyber Assurance as a Service. We provide policy templates to help you manage your cybersecurity, and also to help inform and educate your staff and your teams. And we also include free up to £100,000 worth of cyber insurance through doing the right thing. So as a business, we're we're helping you to protect yourself should the worst happen. So Cybersmart dashboard is the way that you manage your questionnaire, your Cyber Essentials questionnaire, and it's a single pane of glass that enables you to have a look over your whole organization and understand what you're doing well and areas in which you can improve. And it helps you manage all of the elements to the Cybersmart Cyber Assurance as a Service solution. You've got device reports within there. You've got notifications and alerts should things be highlighted that need some attention. And all of this is managed in conjunction with the EBS, who will invariably identify any problems that are highlighted and remediate those quickly. Active Protect, as I said, is our device application. It sits on end user devices, and it's continually monitoring it's continually monitoring the device to ensure that it's compliant with Cyber Essentials, ensure that all of the controls are satisfied throughout the 12-month period. It also includes Cybersmart Academy, which is our training, and again, helping users and staff and employees to improve their education as far as cyber security is concerned. We also have smart policies, so again, an easy way for you to manage and monitor and distribute policies so that staff can remain informed and up to date in terms of what best practices within the organisation. The Active Protect app is available on Apple, Windows, as well as iOS and Android devices, and integrates with G Suite and Microsoft Office. We talked about the Cyber Essentials certification. That's included as Cyber Assurance as a Service, so you get the 12-month certification. The way we add additional support within Cyber Essentials, so you get an unlimited fail-free environment. So basically means you can resubmit the questionnaire as many times as you need to, and we'll provide qualified feedback as to what you need to do in order to improve and remediate the problems to pass Cyber Essentials. And we provide that within 24 hours, so very fast turnaround, and then obviously gives you the opportunity to make the remediation that you need to. And as I said, there's unlimited access to live support as well. So through the website, that gives you access to the experts within our team to help you through your Cyber Essentials and Cyber Essentials Plus journey. In addition, we mentioned before about policies through the app, but we provide templates for those policies as well. So things such as business continuity plan, business recovery plan, data protection, IT access policies, etc. All of those templates are available for you to augment and update for your organisation and distribute to staff. And because the app sits on the desktop, it makes it easy and puts the policies front and centre for staff to be able to access easily, to read them, to sign them, and to be kept informed as to what they need to do to manage their cyber posture correctly. And as I mentioned before, we're offering up to 100k free cyber insurance. So by doing the correct things and doing the right things for your business, you'll have Cyber Essentials, and you'll have the Active Protect app that is monitoring your devices and maintaining your compliance over the 12 months. And as a result of that, you'll get cyber insurance, which is up to £100,000 worth of cover. So in terms of working with EBS and Cybersmart Cyber Essentials, there's a number of benefits in doing that. Fully supported by EBS and our auditors. So you get the IT expertise from EBS, and obviously the audit support and the Cyber Essentials support from ourselves. As mentioned, we've got lots of customers already that are working with EBS and have already passed Cyber Essentials in conjunction with EBS. And our questionnaire, unlimited support, no fail environment, means achieving Cyber Essentials can be done in as little as 24 hours. And if you then want to go on to get Cyber Essentials Plus, that our lead time for that at the moment is 2 weeks. So it's a very fast turnaround with lots of support along the way. I mentioned the cyber insurance. Historically, it was 25k. We've now introduced the 100k insurance, again, with the Cyber Essentials and Active Protect. As mentioned, Cybersmart are the market leader in certifying UK organisations for Cyber Essentials and Cyber Essentials Plus. So in summary, it's not just about Cyber Essentials. Our partnership with EBS means that it's the Cyber Essentials, but it's also the ongoing support through Active Protect and making sure that not only are you protected today, but you're protected and doing the right things and compliant for the next 12 months. And from an insurance company's point of view, the first question they're asking is, were you compliant at the point of breach? Not were you compliant at the point of assessment 6 months ago, but at the point of breach. And through the suite of tools that we have in our partnership with EBS, you're able to quickly and easily demonstrate, yes, you were compliant at the point of breach. So we include, as mentioned before, Active Protect, which gives you the policy management, which gives you the academy to train your users, the insurance, the Cyber Essentials, and obviously the policy templates as well, all included. So to summarize, 3 pillars of IT security: the people, the process, and the technology are all taken care of, are all supported, and are all underpinned by Cyber Essentials. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
Thanks, David. That was really good. Lovely insight to the background of cybercrime, really. You know, I've been in this world for some time. I think for me, one thing probably just to add on to that is, and I think the nice thing about things like Cyber Essentials is it's almost that rubber stamp. And I think I've had many discussions over the years with people saying, you know, do we need this service? Do we need this service? X, Y, Z. That there's never really, or for a long time, there wasn't anything to say this is the correct methodology, the correct services that you should have within your infrastructure. And I think one thing that Cyber Essentials has done is given us, and owners of businesses, that peace of mind and say, right, well, if that's what the IOC are saying, then that's got to be good enough, and there's a stamp of approval, if you like. I have got a few questions that have come up. One of them is actually on the Cybersmart Insurance. In terms of what are the requirements for that insurance? So I presume in terms of to be able just to facilitate that. I don't know if you can expand on that, Stephen.
Yeah. So the qualification for the insurance is relatively straightforward. So our cyber insurance as a service solution gives you everything that you need. So it gives you the initial cyber essential certification, which is the first step in the process. You also then need the Active Protect device applications that are providing the continual monitoring and management. So once you've got both of those pieces of the puzzle in place, you then qualify for the enhanced cyber insurance, and yeah, that's a simple process for how you get the cyber insurance.
Yeah. Also, probably, and again, one thing that I was thinking about. One thing, and I think you kind of touched on it. There's a lot of businesses out there now, and this is a real growing game of will they do business with you? And I think that's a really strong, again, people want to make sure they're doing business where people are taking their system securely, data protection, etc. Generally speaking, you're holding people's data. I know it started out as a government orientated thing and councils working together. But I think over the years, what people are saying is, do I actually want to deal with suppliers who haven't got Cyber Essentials? And ultimately, if you're in a quoting situation and you're against someone that has and you're one that hasn't, I think there's some evidence to say that a lot of quotes don't even get over the line, do they?
Absolutely. We've got anecdotal evidence where we've had conversations with organisations who, and it's not just tender processes now, it is going beyond that. Because of the NCSC database, it's easily easy to check whether a business has Cyber Essentials. A number of organisations are just being overlooked, and reasons not being given as to why they're not winning business because they don't have Cyber Essentials. So we know that, yes, you're right, it was initially just to do with public sector and local authorities and tender processes, but it is going beyond that now, and organisations are, particularly in the light of things like the Capita breach, where businesses are now looking for ways that they they can ensure the people they do business with are doing the right things. And Cyber Essentials makes that process simple, and businesses are cottoning on to that they can check their supply chain much more easily through that process.
Okay, lovely, thank you. More technical, do companies have to have MFA/2FA in place to get Cyber Essentials?
Yeah, so MFA and 2FA, that's multi-factor authentication. So for the non-technical like myself, essentially when you log into to a website, it may send you a code, or it'll send you a code to your email or to your mobile device, and then you have to input that code to gain access. That's in broad terms what multi-factor authentication is. The way Cyber Essentials looks at that is if it's available, you have to use it. So if you're using something like Microsoft Office 365 where it is available, then yes, you have to have it turned on. Obviously, some websites and some applications don't have MFA or 2FA available. So yes, if it's not available, you can't use it, and that's fine within Cyber Essentials. But where it's available, yes, you have to use it.
Okay, lovely. Another question. This is my favourite one. What are the potential fines? I think I can certainly answer that. Is it 4% of turnover? Is now the stat?
Yeah, I'll hold my hands up. I don't know off the top of my head, but yes, it is. It's considerable if there was a breach under the IOC. It's considerable fines. Yeah.
I think perhaps just to add a little bit of everyday context to that, I think if, for example, you've had a data compromise and as a business you have to report that it's to the IOC, ICO, one of those two. If you report, you have a due diligence to report it. If in the case you are investigated, and they are ifs, the reality is they will look at your environment and say, well, okay, have you got Cyber Essentials? If you're a yes, they will see straight away that you are doing the best endeavours. It doesn't mean you can't get compromised, etc. But you are taking security seriously, and you are putting things in place as advised to ensure that you're keeping your data safe, etc., etc. And therefore, I can't stand up in court and say this, but the likelihood of your fine being as large as somebody who hasn't got that certification and who hasn't put things in place, and for people who've got older infrastructures and no MFA in place when they should have, and older operating systems and no firmware upgrade and all of those pieces that affects it, ultimately money talks and the fines will be pitched appropriately. And I think that's, without being scaremongering, that is the reality in terms of the world that we're living at the moment.
It is, and just to add a little bit onto that. So, with as you mentioned, putting Cyber Essentials in place isn't a guarantee that you won't get hacked, and that's the case. But when we looked at why hackers are switching their attention from big business to large businesses, ultimately they're looking for the line of least resistance. And having Cyber Essentials in place makes you a less attractive proposition because, as we mentioned, you're doing the basics correctly. You're doing the things that you can do to protect yourself against 99% of threats. And without wanting to besmirch hackers, they're generally lazy and will go for the line of least resistance. So, with that in mind, by having it, yes, you're not guaranteeing you won't get hacked, but you're just making it less likely, and you're making yourself a less attractive proposition to hackers.
Excellent. I think one question, I think you've answered it, but it was asked for, and it's how quickly can we get certified with both Cyber Essentials and Cyber Essentials Plus?
Yep.
I think I'll let you answer yours. I'll probably add a little bit to it as well, Stephen, in this case.
Yeah, absolutely. So in essence, Cyber Essentials can be certified within 24 hours. Our SLA for response to submission of questionnaires is 24 hours. So within 24 hours, we'll come back to you and say, yes, you've passed, or no, you've not passed, and these are the remediation steps you need to go through. So it's 24 hours for Cyber Essentials, and then Cyber Essentials Plus which is the independent audit we conduct of the questionnaire after you've passed Cyber Essentials. That can be done within 2 weeks. And in some circumstances, we have been able to push it through where needed, but at the moment, we're working on a 2-week lead time for Cyber Essentials Plus.
I think I would add a slightly different answer. Because obviously where EBS can offer our services, the important thing for us is that we would perform an audit. So prior to a question set being completed, there's obviously areas that we know, right, well, you would need X, Y, Z to be in place. So we would perform an audit on that. And I'll just use the MFA as that's been mentioned. If that isn't in place, we wouldn't even attempt to kind of complete that question set. We know that's got to be a shortfall before submission. Therefore, we would plan the work that needs to be carried out. So yes, in terms of if everything was in place and that certification process, it's quite a quick turnaround. Obviously, what you need to be thinking about prior to that is, well, what's the gap between you from where you are now and to getting there? And that's what we would work on. And I'm not going to put a time scale on that.
Absolutely, and it's always caveated by the current state of the network and the infrastructure, etc. So, yeah, I guess the short answer is how long is a piece of string, and it's based on your network. But in essence, once you submit the questionnaire, after you've done all of your work and got the customer to where they need to be, then yes, 24 hours and 2 weeks for Cyber Essentials Plus.
One other question here is, how often do I have to do it?
It's every year, so it's an annual assessment. The questionnaire itself changes each year. So IASME, which is the governing body of Cyber Essentials, they introduce a new questionnaire each year. Sometimes the changes are minimal, as this year the change in the questionnaire, which came out, I think it was April earlier this year, the changes weren't that significant. However, last year I believe the changes were much more significant. But yes, it's a new questionnaire each year. So yeah, and it lasts for 12 months.
Excellent. And that is all the questions. I don't think I have anything. I think for me, I think that the key takeaways of what Cyber Essentials does is it gives a good stamp of a good security level. Fundamentally, the fact that you've got a stamp is likely to allow you to gain more business, is the reality, and that is very much growing. You know, if I look at this 5 years ago compared to today, it's a very, very different place from that point of view. I think there's more awareness of it, and therefore people are looking at that. And I think the continuity is a good thing. Things change, IT, security, etc. Cybercrime is continually changing. So when IASME do change their question sets, there's generally speaking a good reason for it. You know, there's no surprise that since COVID, don't like to refer to that really, but end user devices has suddenly become hugely much more on the radar of the Cyber Essentials factor, where prior to that it wasn't so much. You know, we're all working a bit differently. So I think they're the key takeouts. Obviously, I'm sure you'll come off of this and you may think of other questions that you've not had time to ask. So please email us at hello@ebs.tech. And we'll be more than happy to help you out with those questions. And ultimately, yeah, speak to us if you've got any concerns. If you want to know any more information, we're more than happy to advise you. And I know it's always nice to have the backing of Stephen and the Cybersmart team, who are always open for a discussion.
No, you're welcome, Simon, and thank you very much for inviting us onto the webinar today and to share our knowledge, understanding, and expertise with your audience. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, Stephen.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye now.
Thank you.